Howard, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How are y'all doing?
Okay.
We're doing good.
Good show.
Thank
y'all
you.
are not letting them run roughshod over you. That's good.
So what you got for us?
So I'm an atheist, and it took me a while to actually say, okay, I really am an atheist. After a while, I mean, I've been thinking this since I was a kid. I was brought up as a Reformed Jew. I'm familiar with a lot of that stuff. I taught Hebrew school for a while.
Wow.
Sunday school, so I know quite a bit about it.
So did I.
Excuse me?
So did I.
Yeah.
Still practicing.
And it's like, but, after I got into somewheres along the line, I said, I just don't believe any of this stuff. And, it's basically for a long time we sort of had a live and let live kind of thing in this country where pretty much people could believe any kind of, cockamamie thing they want to believe in, and it was okay as long as they are good people.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, I think that this, is no longer academic.
Yeah.
I think we've come to a point in history where a lot of this stuff is starting to come to a head. And as an atheist, it puts me in this sort of objective position in a way to be able to say, what I was going to say a moment ago is when I finally said, okay, I am an atheist, it was incredibly liberating morally.
Yeah.
Because at that point I said, well, there's one thing that that was a real good thing that I used to teach in Sunday school, was a story about Hillel. So he goes down to Hillel's house, he knocks on the door, he says, teach me the Torah while I stand on one leg. And Hillel says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And he closes the door. That's it. Right? That's the Lord's Prayer. That's, that's the essence of it. My take on religion is that religion is a way to contort that so you aren't ever really able to do it. The simplest, most easiest thing the hardest thing for us to do is to do unto others as we'd have them do unto us. Yeah. Right? To be kind, to be generous, to be sympathetic, to be altruistic, all these things. But yet we construct these religions which actually prevent us from doing this. Yeah. And Christianity right now is facing this head-on in the gay issue.
Yes.
It's so obviously immoral.
Yeah.
Like the president is so, he actually wants to change the Constitution.
Exactly.
Put his religious prejudice in there, and there's a bunch of Christians out there who think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that sickens me, and that I consider that immoral.
Yeah.
And there's lots of other stuff in the Bible. I'm not saying the Bible doesn't have wisdom and insight, because it certainly does, just like all religions.
Yeah.
Greek mythology, Viking mythology, you name it. In all Native American religions, they all have some wisdom. Obviously, like for instance, not stealing. Good idea if you want to have a civilization, if you want to have a cooperative people. This is not something that is really worthy of a God.
Yeah.
To come down and tell you not to steal, not to kill.
Yeah.
This is so obvious.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for us to do. Now we find ourselves in a war where we're actually rationalizing killing. Which is really and this is a Christian. People go around saying this is a Christian nation.
Yeah.
This is immoral to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm an atheist. So how do I get to this position?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how I get to the position, because it's not very difficult. It's right there, staring in the face. If you stop reading the Bible and believing the mythology.
Amen.
And that's what I say to Christians out there. And I'll tell you, I'm challenging them right now through this show. I hope there's some of them watching. If you think you're a really good person and you really want, don't think of yourself as a Christian. Don't think of yourself as an American. Think of yourself as a human on the planet at this point in history where we have the ability to wipe out everything. And look at where we are with the world, with the other people who believe other things besides Christianity, and where we are with that. And you have to look at yourself and say, do you really want the world to end? Because I'll tell you, they do. There's a whole bunch of them who really want the world to end.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in prophecy.
Trying to bring around the end times.
Right. I don't believe in prophecy, but I believe in self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things, a lot of people who are doing stuff right now where it's setting it up. And I don't believe, I'll tell you, if the Big Bang comes and there really is some really nasty stuff, all the Christians are going to get killed along with all the Jews. There's not going to be the 144,000 Jews left to say, oh shit, they were right after all, and all this stuff. There's not going to be any of that left behind crap. Everybody goes or nobody goes. And that's the way it's going to be. And I'll tell you another thing, as far as death goes, when you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah.
You can talk about your immortality through your being memorialized or remembered by other people, which is fine. That's the way things go. But most people aren't really remembered after a generation or two, and that's the way it is. And people who are remembered through history, well, there are good people and there are bad people, and if you really look at them, if you look at, say, this great person from history, well, you really look at them, they really weren't that great. They were there at the right time, they did certain things, they did bad things, they did good things, and we remember them well. Aristotle had, he had some good things, but, he had some mistakes, too.
Everybody's got some flaws to them, but, try and change the world and try and make it a better place than, than it had been if you were not there.
And that's the thing that people should be concentrating on instead of trying to convolute it with this belief in these crazy ass things. And the other thing that really upsets me about it, I've heard a lot of Christians call up this show where there was a guy just earlier who's basically saying, what if you're wrong? I'm doing it just because it's the Pascal's wager thing. Just in case, you might as well believe in it. It's like, what good is that? Especially if it makes you believe in all this crazy stuff that really is counterproductive to.
And there are also a lot of religions out there that can be diametrically opposed to each other. As in Christianity, the commandment, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not worship no other gods before me. So if you worship some other god in addition to that one, you're going to hell.
Right.
But if that's not the right one, then you're going to hell.
Yes.
So you can't win by worshiping them all because somebody's going to get jealous.
Well, we certainly do have a jealous God. That certainly proves that in the Old Bible.
And it's also important, going back to what you had said earlier about religions. A lot of times people say they don't want to push it on each other, that it's just, this is what I believe, and if you believe something differently, then that's okay. We often get callers into the show saying, why can't we all just get along? Why do you have to be out there having an atheist show telling all the Christian people that they're wrong and pissing everybody off? When, I just want to live my life, and I just want to believe, and if you don't want to believe, well, that's fine.
Well, I'm kind of beyond
that
point now, because this is what I'm kind of saying is I'm an angry atheist now. I think actually our role in our time right now is to challenge this stuff. Because we have you have a president who's in charge of the country who's delusional as far as I'm concerned. He actually thinks he's talking to God, and people are actually willing to vote for him because they think he's talking to God. This is a sick situation. This is not the way a democracy should really. This is not reason. The founding fathers wanted us to reason. They wanted us to be rational. They didn't want us to believe fairy tales and base our lives on them.
We're here to open up eyes.
I think actually atheists need to challenge this, and I do. If somebody comes up to me and says I don't go out and looking for it, but when they start talking religion to me, be a Christian, Jewish, whatever, I tell them what I think, and I tell them, I think you're wrong, and I think if you really are going down that path, that's an immoral thing. I challenge them, man. If somebody is against gays because of what it says in the Bible, I consider that completely immoral.
Okay.
And I'm done. Well, I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox now. Thanks for
absolutely. Thank you for calling into the show.
Okay, yes. Thanks a lot for calling in.